World Tower Defense, a Roblox tower defense game that has been around for quite some time. The element that makes it unique from other tower defense games is that it doesn't fit the usual formula of these games. Instead of a path that the enemies follow, the map is very open. This style of gameplay allows for multiple strategies while playing, so you can defend your base the best you can. And for starters, it seems like a very daunting game to get into. So we turn to YouTube to find a way of learning how to play said game, and by doing this, we can find a channel named DeivyDoesTutorials33, the perfect way to get into World Tower Defense. However, this channel isn't what it seems. It seems that Deivy has been having an unusual experience playing this game, and today, we'll be diving deep into the mystery of DeivyDoesTutorials World Tower Defense's strangest mystery. But before we look at the first video on the channel, let's go ahead and talk about the basics of the game, because I feel like it's important to gain a deeper understanding of World Tower Defense so you can better comprehend the ARG itself. Like I said before, World Tower Defense takes a completely different approach to this genre. The open area allows the player to place their towers anywhere on the playing field. The enemies in this game can attack your towers, which makes the player find a fine balance between protecting their base and their towers. And on top of that, it adds a lot of intensity to the game. Once the enemies break through your towers, it's almost game over most of the time. In the game, you could buy accessories. These can boost your stats and abilities, and give a better performance against the enemies. The rest of the information about World Tower Defense works the same as any other tower defense game. You get money by damaging enemies and completing waves, but the challenging gameplay of World Tower Defense separates itself from other popular games. So if you're a person who plays other tower defense games, the change in style may confuse you, but thankfully, we have Deivy to explain it for us. Let's go ahead and watch the first video on the channel. This is the first video on the channel titled 5 Tips to Get You A Rank Instantly in PvP. And I do want to give a fair warning, this video is outdated because it's from a year ago, but it's still a good way to understand this game mode. Let's learn from the master himself. Step 1. Always send the best income, and the way to win is from sending. It means that in PvP mode, you have units and enemies, and sending enemies from your base to theirs, you generate more income, which increases your dollar per second. This helps you buy more units for yourself. Step 2. Always bring mirror to your loadout. It is essential for dealing with enemy accessory users, such as Heavenly. Mirroring means duplicating the last card played by the user. Here's an example shown by Deivy. Step 3. Always look at the enemy defense. If you see their defense, you can find a way to counter it. For example, Deivy shows us that the enemy is using bullets only, so he uses granite to counter. Step 4. The best way to get eco is by sending stuff in offense. Eco are units like businessman and a bank. And finally, step 5. Always ask your friends to test new strategies you've made to see if it works. But then, the music suddenly stops, and we meet a new face. This user is named Geometry, and Deivy asks Geometry if you could help him with the new PvP video he's making. But Geometry says no, and to find someone else. Well, looks like Geometry isn't going to be a part of this video. Get in. It then cuts to a clip of them playing a game together to test out Deivy's strategies. And I do want to mention, after this part, we see that Geometry's face changed. This is nothing weird. You could change your face in the game to anything you want. This is most likely out of protest to Deivy. Deivy says to like and subscribe for more content like this, and that's the end of the video. Let's go ahead and move on. In the second video on the channel, Deivy is back with Geometry, and he's showing us how to beat Burdensome in World Tower Defense. This is a highly difficult game mode in the game. Deivy waves to us and then tells Geometry to do the same. It's like Deivy is holding Geometry at gunpoint. But jokes aside, from what we saw from Geometry in the last video, it doesn't seem like Geometry wants to play this game anymore. Before he starts, Deivy gives us some recommendations to do well in this game mode. Jeez, that's a lot. Okay, the units you should use are Soldier, Sniper, Igniter, Demo Man, or Blockbuster, and Assassin, and it's recommended that you do this with a friend. For the rest of the video, Deivy goes over some strategies and describes what he's doing in the gameplay footage, and all the things he mentions are very helpful for newcomers trying to conquer this game mode. Just like in the last video, nothing out of the ordinary is wrong here. I just feel like these videos are building upon the character of Deivy. An asshole. But there's more to it, trust me. Let's go ahead and move on to the next video. We meet someone new in this entry. Their name is Z_7K. I guess Deivy was tired of geometry's bullshit, so he's been replaced. In this video, the two of them are talking about mistakes that every new player makes and how to fix these mistakes. I will 100% need this video.
I can't do it. I can't.
Deivy goes on to state that geometry isn't in this video because he's having some problems at the moment. We then get to see these problems. It shows a clip of someone hiding behind a wall of some sort. I can only guess that this is geometry. We can hear someone walking around and geometry trying to see who it is. I'm not entirely sure who it is that's walking around. It then cuts back to the video with the first mistake, always stealing eco with moving units, when the other player is using stationary defense. It then shows a demonstration of this mistake through the friend. The second mistake is placing your units too far away from other units. I mean, that's pretty common knowledge. The mistake is shown yet again through the friend. I'm starting to see a pattern here. The third mistake is using unit farmer in a team. During these examples, we can kind of see Deivy is getting more and more annoyed at his teammate. The fourth mistake is overspending your money so you can't afford the necessary units. We then see the friend make this mistake, and Deivy just does not say anything. He's going through the 5 stages of grief at the moment. The fifth and final mistake is not using your bank correctly and not paying attention to the bank. Deivy completely freaks out. Deivy might be the biggest crash out in a Roblox ARG. It gets so bad that he ends the recording short. I'm starting to think that Deivy used 7K's lack of skill to make this video. That's some generational hater material. Over the past 3 videos, we've only seen one thing that could be considered weird so far, but from now on, everything, and I mean everything, is about to change. Let's go ahead and watch the next entry on the channel. This video starts differently than the other videos. No fancy editing, just raw footage of the two of them chatting about the game. But as the two are talking, 7K's attention goes elsewhere, and he sees something behind Deivy. The thing that 7K saw was... it was geometry. As soon as Deivy notices him, geometry runs off, and Deivy quickly catches up to him, and he goes into a teleporter alongside him. He is teleported to a waiting room without geometry. The place where Deivy is being taken to is a place called the Remains, which at the time wasn't a map, but now it's in World Tower Defense because of this series. He spawns on the map, and the area is completely gray, and we can see the crystal behind him, so it works as a usual World Tower Defense map. The sub place has weird eerie music that plays in the background. This adds to the mysterious atmosphere of the map. Another interesting thing to mention is that his starter unit has been replaced. Instead of the one that we saw before, it's now an item called Illuminator. Deivy goes to the store on the edge of the map, but it doesn't seem to lead to anything. The area also seems to have statues of players standing around. Then, eventually, Deivy begins to gain cash out of nowhere. But then if we look at the top left, where it says enemies, it goes from 0 to 1. And we see in chat, DeivyDoesTutorials33 has joined the server. The screen goes gray, and we see what attacked Deivy. It was Deivy, a doppelganger of some sort, and it being labeled as an enemy isn't good news at all. Looking at the video's description, Deivy says, "I found out I can rejoin past servers. I'm too scared. Any advice, please?" Deivy can go back to this area, and in the next video, Deivy revisits this weird subplace. So let's go right ahead and watch this next entry. After about a month of procrastination, I decided to come back to explore where I left off last time by abusing the return to server button. Leave your thoughts in the comments on what I should do next video and what accessory I should try. This is what Deivy writes in the description. Deivy mentions that the rejoin past server button has been there for a long time and won't go away, almost like something wants him to join back. Soon enough, 7K joins the server as he's recording and wonders what he's been doing all this time. And Deivy said that he's been having some complications, but as they're talking, Deivy decides to just click the rejoin past server button, and he's taken right back to the Remains. Clicking the settings button, everything is completely gone, which is weird. He is unable to change anything about the game. He then sees something in another area that he quickly finds his way to. It's almost like a church. Rows of seats are facing towards a tree-like statue at the front, and 2 statues on the sides are kneeling before it. This makes me believe that there's something deeper going on with this area. Deivy hears the cash sound effect like last time, and Deivy's clone joins once again. Deivy Deivy, in this moment, looks around for the clone, but then realizes that he can use Illuminator to prevent the clone from getting close, and it works. The clone tries over and over to get to him, but the Illuminator is the only thing preventing that from happening. Eventually, it gives up and runs down one of the pathways and seemingly disappears out of thin air. After walking around for a while, he checks the upgrade for the guiding light, and the description shows words with missing letters. Here's what they say: concentrated energy, knockback energy stronger. Once Deivy upgrades it, we see the next one, shimmering starlight. It reads, stun duration increased, electricity chaining. Deivy comes across a building that looks like a temple, and he goes inside, but as soon as this happens, the game turns to night, and the only light source that Deivy has is the Illuminator. A scary thing about this section, you can hear footsteps that aren't from Deivy, but from the clone. Like here, for example. Deivy soon finds a button that he presses and goes to search what the button did. As soon as Deivy explores the area even more, he begins placing guiding lights so he can see the area better, but the limit for placing these was 5, and in the recording, he placed about 8, which means that the clone enemy was most likely breaking these units, just like the enemies do in normal world tower defense, which also makes sense to believe that the clone was following close behind, just out of sight, breaking each guiding light as Deivy gets further and further into the abyss. Deivy then finds out what the button did. It seemed to have opened a brand new area for Deivy to explore, but this exploration gets cut short. Damn, Deivy just left with no question. He's probably the smartest character in a Roblox ARG, I'll give him that. At the end of the video, a subtitle shows up saying, "At this point, I straight up left the game and decided to come back to it another time after hearing sounds that I think are someone chasing me," which makes sense because of the guiding lights being broken by the clone. I still have the rejoin past server button, and I think as long as I don't get the lose screen button or maybe somehow not die, I will keep it. I'll explore remains more, probably won't use Head King's crown again, so leave comments on what I should do and what accessory I should try next. This is the end of the first remains expedition. Let's move on to the second expedition, which is the next entry on the channel. In the second remains expedition, Deivy explores the remains for double the amount of time. Surely this will be the longest video on the channel. The video begins with Deivy sitting on the lobby of World Tower Defense, and the rejoin past server button is still there. Deivy apologizes for not being able to upload for some time, but Deivy announced some changes to his expedition. If we look at the last video, someone suggested that he uses Driller Drone, a drone that stays close to the player at all times. He will also be doing commentary in post instead of talking in chat to let him focus more. Without further ado, let's take a look at Deivy's second expedition. Deivy for the beginning of the expedition mostly explores areas he's already been to. This is mainly for money purposes, but Deivy clicks on the leaderboard button and it says it's trying to connect to something, which is weird because Deivy's internet is completely fine. It eventually says that an enemy is on the map, but the clone doesn't spawn while Deivy is waiting for it. Using the guiding light with the driller drone, it makes it so that the lantern is always following Deivy, which is a great light source for when Deivy is in dark areas. When Deivy enters the dark area, he mentions that the area seems to have changed from last time, and by the looks of it, it sort of did. Deivy finds a lever like in the last video, but this one seems to be in a different place than last time. This opens the area from the last video, and Deivy is back to where he left off. But instead of the same event that happened last time, Deivy enters a battle with the clone. The clone catches him off guard, which scares Deivy, and he quickly upgrades his units. What I find so cool about this area is that the path that Deivy is on sort of resembles the classic path enemies take on your usual tower defense game. If that was on purpose, it's a nice touch. The clone attempted to attack again, but as Deivy says, it's trying to catch me off guard, but it clearly didn't expect me to have a lantern guarding me. It happens again, but Deivy finds out that his lanterns have a lifespan, and if another attack takes place, he most likely would have died. But before Deivy leaves the area, the enemy goes for one last attack, and the lanterns kill the clone. But Deivy doesn't celebrate, because there are many more things to worry about in the future. Like, for example, the enemy counter still says 1. After this, Deivy leaves the area unscathed. The door closes behind Deivy, and he finds out that he's at a second base. Deivy finds a door that leads him right back to the first base, which is great transportation for Deivy. He looks around the area around the second base and finds a cave. Going into it, it turns to night, which means bad news. As Deivy looks around the cave, there are various rooms with more statues in them. For a frame, the screen goes to black, but turning up the brightness, we can see this. I'm not sure what these could mean, but if anyone has any ideas, please let me know. Leaving the cave, a giant tree that looks like roots can be seen, but soon enough, Deivy seems to have another run-in with the doppelganger, but Deivy noticed that it had a blue torso, so it wasn't his clone. Going back, the doppelganger is nowhere to be seen, but if you were paying attention, another statue has been added, which wasn't there before. Deivy goes back to explore more of the cave and comes across another tree that resembles the tree found in the church. As Deivy is exploring an area that looks like cubicles, Geometry joins the game. Geometry wonders if Deivy needs his help, and Deivy says yes. The odd thing is, before this, Geometry didn't even want to play this game, nor help Deivy with his videos. But here we are, Geometry offering to help. Once Deivy describes where he is, Geometry gives him the right direction instantly, and they find each other. Strange. In this area, the mood completely changes. It's daytime, the music is nice and calming, and Deivy starts to have a conversation with Geo. Deivy wonders where he's been, but Geo eerily replies with, "I've always been here." Is he implying that he's always been in the remains? But when Deivy wonders what he means, Geo ignores the question and says that he needs to follow him because it's important. Deivy leaves the area he was about to go into with two flowers side by side and goes with Geometry. Deivy wants to take a moment to talk with Geo, but Geo says, "I know you have a lot of questions right now, but just save those for later." At this point, I'm willing to bet that Geo isn't real at all. He's from the remains, hence the line, "I've always been here." But that's just a shot in the dark. Deivy follows Geo into a small room, and then a boss fight begins, and Geo has turned into a statue, just like we saw earlier. We can hear very loud footsteps like something is actively coming towards Deivy, but then we can see someone walking around. He gets closer, but somehow he doesn't notice the large amount of light coming from Deivy. He continues to follow the user, and we see it open a large door. Then the video ends abruptly. A thorough review on Illuminator is a video recorded and edited by 7K. The video is pretty self-explanatory. 7K will be giving a review on Illuminator, the item that was mainly used in the first part of the Remains expedition. Deivy hit up 7K in the DMs asking to make this video since he can't play, which is worrying because we don't know what happened to him after the end of the last video. Moving on to the review, it explains things that we've already seen in the previous videos from Deivy. For example, the Illuminator casts lightning on an enemy when they are in range, just like we saw with Deivy's clone. We also find out that it casts 18 damage per second, which is why the clone retreated so fast. The Illuminator has a priority of 3, which makes the enemies think it's further away, most likely why the clone kept on attempting to attack, thinking it had a chance. Here's where it gets weird. Illuminator has a placement of 4, but in the Remains area, the limits were constantly changing on Deivy, so it's best to say that Illuminator acts differently in this area opposed to casual mode. On level 2 of Illuminator, the unit has a slightly different design with even more perks. 7K goes on to explain some cool strategies with the unit. This is very useful for learning how to use the unit, but for time's sake, we'll skip over this. Looking at level 3 of Illuminator, things begin to get more serious. The unit begins to resemble the many tree-like statues that we saw in the Remains. The most obvious case is the one in the church, and the level 3 Illuminator excels at its job, destroying every enemy in its circle. But this isn't the unit's full potential. On level 4 of Illuminator, it looks even more similar to the trees that we've seen. It even adds the large branches that we saw in the second expedition on each corner. This unit destroys everything that comes at it. But honestly, this unit seems a little too good. There has to be a reason why it acts differently in the presence of the tree statues. There has to be a reason why Deivy wanted 7K to make a whole video explaining it. And finally, there has to be a reason why this unit looks identical to what we've seen in the Remains area. And on top of that, statues are bowing down to whatever this is. But before the video ends, 7K mentions that he's seen the recent Deivy videos, and it cuts to another footage right after that. 7K is in the lobby, and his friend named Tofu joins the game, but for some reason, they're dressed up as Deivy, which is weird. We never get a good view of the friend. 7K goes into a match, and as soon as he joins, he says, "I don't get it, bruh. How did he do it?" 7K wonders how Deivy managed to get into the Remains, and that's where the video ends. Wow, a nice 5.5-minute video. Hopefully we don't get anything too long. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. This video is what happened after the Last Remains expedition. Looking back, Deivy was following this user, and before the video ended, or the footage got corrupted, the user opened a large door, and the only reason why we're seeing this video is because of Handbrake. Let's take a look at the monster of a video, which is the aftermath. The video begins at the place where the user opened the door, to which Deivy enters. He follows the user to an area that looks identical to a path from a tower defense game. We've seen something like this before when Deivy was fighting the clone. The user seemed to have dropped down a hole behind a house, and Deivy quickly follows. Falling into the hole, Deivy mentions that it took a minute to get to the bottom. Once Deivy reaches the bottom, the area is very different from what it once was before. The place is designed very well, unlike anything we've seen before. There are stores, statues, and trees with lights that resemble the level 4 Illuminator. Deivy believes that this area looks like an art gallery with the number of paintings that can be found, and I back that idea. The paintings seem to be important. For example, we see a painting that looks like the Illuminator unit, but this time it shows roots growing below it. It could also be lightning that the unit casts, but by the number of trees that we've seen connected to this unit, it's most likely roots. Deivy finds a tree statue once again and the paintings on each side of the wall. Maybe these paintings will be important later. Walking around more, Deivy comes across a dog-like entity which scares him, but at closer inspection, they do no harm. Deivy finds more paintings and one catches his eye. By the looks of it, it looks like a picture with him and Geo. I would like a better view of the painting, but Deivy won't stop jumping! Deivy mentions that the other painting is someone running with the term MK2 animation. He then finds another painting of him and Geo. This time, he's angry walking away from him, like we've seen in the other videos. Deivy finds another painting with himself in it, but this time, he's alone without Geo. Basically, the situation he's in now, or this could suggest that Geo was never real, like I said before. Deivy walks up a flight of stairs to the rooftop of a building, and I'm gonna be completely real, the design of these remains areas are genius. Going back from the rooftop, a tree seemingly spawned out of nowhere. Deivy continues to explore these areas and eventually finds a long flight of stairs to the top of the map, but it isn't where he was originally because he fell for a minute while going down the hole. He then hears this creepy, distorted sound. But turns out, it just came from one of the dog entities that he saw earlier. After getting away from the dogs, Deivy finds an area with plants on the ground. Walking through here, a monolith is found by Deivy. And if you paid attention to the paintings in the art gallery, this monolith has been seen before. This area seems to have a lot of weird structures. Deivy continues to follow the user until they reach a city of some sort, where the user confronts him. The user that we see is named James Warrior 14, and he's wondering why Deivy is following him. And I will say, most of this video's runtime consists of the two of them talking, so to cure your boredom, I'll summarize the important aspects. Deivy says that he thought James was one of the doppelgangers that we saw earlier, and James thought the same about him. Deivy asks James if he's seen a user named Geometry around, but unfortunately, James hasn't seen anyone by that name. But James wonders why Deivy is looking for Geo, and Deivy says the obvious answer, I've been trying to find him because he's my friend. But James doesn't seem to like that answer, because he goes on to ramble about how he doesn't need Geo, and what if Geo betrays him like James's friends did to him? Then I would leave them because they're a bad friend. That makes everyone I knew a bad friend then. After this, James runs off and then this happens. It can't be a video related to World Tower Defense without something to do with a boss battle, and the boss battle here seems to be a combination of every boss and enemy from the game. This is proven by the name of the boss, which constantly changes. Some notable names include Brute, the second boss encountered in the game, and Terminator, who is the leader of all Raiders and M-Raiders. Deivy begins to fight this monster of a boss. During this, James is talking about a moment where one of his teammates made a mistake and costed them the game in a PvP duo tournament. Deivy almost dies multiple times because of this boss, but in the end, Deivy comes out on top and Deivy kills the boss. James's reasoning for that was, it looked awesome. I mean, he's not wrong. Deivy makes his way over to the door and it opens, but the boss battle isn't over just yet. As we can see, the enemy count is still at 2. Deivy enters the second round of the boss, but this time, Deivy doesn't seem to have enough money to protect himself for too long, so Deivy needs to find a way to kill it for good. Deivy makes his way to a bridge and he zaps the supports, and the bridge falls into the pit along with the boss. Deivy finds James waiting for him and wonders if that's all he's got. Are you sure? Wait, it's still alive? How is that possible? Oh. That was anticlimactic. And finally, the boss enemy is dead. With all that done, we're at the point of the video where the majority of what's happening is talking. So, like I said before, I'll summarize what's being said and mention things that seem important to the story. After James tried to kill Deivy multiple times, Deivy tries to get revenge, but James begs him not to. James says, "It hurts and you don't understand." This line confuses Deivy because what does he mean by this? Is he suggesting that he's different from Deivy? The two of them come to an agreement and they decide to explore the remains together. Deivy asks how James got into the remains in the first place, and James says it happened after the tournament somehow. Deivy brings up the monolith that he saw earlier, and they both decide to check it out because it's daytime. A couple of minutes later, Deivy begins to notice rocks forming on James's body, but James was oblivious to this happening. Out of curiosity, Deivy asks if James has ever recorded his experience in the remains, but James says he did on his channel. But after Deivy searched up his channel, he found nothing. Deivy says to check out his videos as well, but James eerily responds with, "I can't." This really confuses Deivy, to the point where the next 5 minutes are just Deivy pressuring James to answer his personal questions, and getting mad when James claps back. But then Deivy realizes James isn't on the leaderboard on the right, but weirdly enough, James doesn't see him either. Deivy asks the question about the accessories that James used in the video, and James says that he used Betrayed and something called Moonlight Delices, which isn't in the game at all after Deivy did some research. The remains are different than the normal world tower defense, but a whole new accessory is strange. And on top of that, James says it's been in the game since forever. And finally, they get to the monolith. But yet again, James is covered even more by the rocks. And it seems like the closer James gets to the monolith, the more he's covered by the rocks. Or maybe this isn't the real James Warrior, and the closer he gets to the monolith, his true identity shows. And the way he talks is exactly how the unit descriptions were, with almost every word missing a letter. James tries to get closer and closer and keeps on asking the question, "Deivy, am I real?" But in the chats, his colorful name goes away. This could suggest that it's a different version of him talking, and soon enough, after James's death, it turns to night and the flowers begin to glow and calming music starts to play. And the final thing Deivy says before the end of this hour-long video is, "I'm so sorry." Across the 8 entries on the channel, DeivyDoesTutorials wastes no time on giving us unanswered questions. The remains area has so many different elements to it that it seems almost impossible to get a straight answer on what everything means. But there are some things I'd like to clear up, explain, and theorize. First off, James Warrior 14. In the comments of the last video, the real James Warrior, who makes videos on World Tower Defense, went on to say this: "LOL, great video, but that's literally not me at all. For someone I didn't know, the James in the video does sound a bit like me sometimes, but otherwise that's not me at all. Good work though." Which confirms that whatever this is, it wasn't James. Because of this event, the majority of people believe that the geometry that we saw wasn't real either. But I think geometry as a whole isn't even a real person. He's from the remains. Just like he said, "I've always been here." Another thing, the structures that we see. The monolith seems to be tied to the doppelgangers, and the tree statues could represent creation. In this world, they're tree of life, which could be the reason why statues are worshipping it. But these theories can be pushing it, because honestly, with the information that we see, any theory can be a shot in the dark. But a week after the Aftermath video was posted, Deivy announced in a community post saying that after his break, he will be making a return to the remains and uncover the mysteries that us viewers have been trying to solve. So until then, let us wait until Deivy gives us another walkthrough like he's done time and time again. They're destroying our base!